Hi everyone. So you just talked about cause and effect. How cause happens first and effect happens second. The cause is the why it happens and the effect is the result of something happening. We're going to practice today with one of my favorite books. It's our Making Meaning book for the week and it's called Two Bobbies. And it is a true story about a dog and a cat. This true story of Hurricane Katrina, friendship and survival. So we all know what a hurricane is living in Florida, right? Lots of rain, big gusts of winds. Well, many years ago, Hurricane Katrina happened in the state of Louisiana, and there was a lot of damage. But we're going to figure out what happened to these two best friends. Okay. The city of New Orleans on the mighty Mississippi is a place many people and pets call home. Jamming with jazz and dressing up fancy for Mardi Gras, it bustled with life day and night. There's that vocabulary word, bustle. Remember what that means? Excitement, noise, yes, moving around with excitement. Mardi Gras is a big party that they have in Louisiana. But on August 29th, 2005, Hurricane Katrina bore down on the city and everyone who lived there, including a wisp of a cat and one puppy. Winds roared up to 110 miles an hour. Rain pounded hard on fast, strong winds pushed the walls of water from the Gulf of Mexico into Lake Pontchartrain. I hope I said that right. Some of the levees holding the lake gave away. Water poured into the city deeper and deeper. People who had stayed through the storm were finally forced to leave their homes. They had to say goodbye to everything they loved, and many were told they could not take their pets. That's very sad. Bobby and Bobcat were left behind. Bobby had been tethered with a length of chain. What do you think tethered means? There's our picture clue. Yeah, it means tied up. Tethered with the length of chain, Bobcat stayed by her side. Together in the silent heat, they waited for help to come. So let's think of a cause and effect here. Why were the two Bobbies stranded alone? What was the cause? What was the reason? Because some people weren't allowed to take their pets. That's right. After the storm, volunteers, another vocabulary word. Remember what that means? It means to offer help without payment. Volunteers from across the country came to New Orleans to lend a hand. They brought food and water. They rescued people stranded on the roofs of their homes, and they rescued many animals. Look at that car. Look how deep the water is. And there are the two Bobbies. Remember, why do you think they're stuck there? That's right. But with so much change and confusion, the two Bobbies were not rescued. Oh, their food and water were gone, and Bobby finally broke free. She dragged along the broken chain with Bobcat close by her side. In the early days after the hurricane, the two Bobbies tried to make their way around the oily water littered with debris. Vocabulary word. Remember what debris means? Yep. Trash and big messes everywhere. After the waters receded, that means they went down, they traveled the buckled streets with no place to call home. Month after month passed as Bobby and Bobcat wandered the devastated city. Vocabulary word, remember, devastated. Lots of damage. Their days and nights were filled with danger. Packs of hungry, homeless dogs roamed the streets, fighting smaller animals for food. Were Bobby and Bobcat chased away from any scraps they might have found? With little food to eat or clean water to drink, Bobby's ribs began to show. Bobcat's brown sugar markings started to fade to a dull white. So they didn't have any food, and her beautiful fur was starting to fade away because she didn't have enough nutrition. One day in January, 4 long months later, Bobby and Bobcat strayed onto a job site. A construction crew hammered and sawed, fixing up a motel damaged by the hurricane. A worker's dog rushed over to play with Bobby. The dog's owner, Rich, noticed Bobcat too. He saw how thin the two strays were and began feeding them. That's very nice. He trimmed Bobby's chain, leaving enough to jingle on the ground because Bobcat liked to follow it. I wonder why Bobcat liked to follow the chain. Think about that. But every time Rich tried to touch Bobcat, Bobby growled. He was protecting Bobcat, right? After a week of caring for the two Bobbies, Rich got some bad news when his boss came to the job site. He had given permission for 1 dog, but not 2 dogs and a cat. He said Bobby and Bobcat had to go. So that would be a good cause and effect. Why did Bobby and Bobcat have to leave the job site? Because the owner said there was too many and they couldn't stay. Rich was determined to take them to a safe place. But Bobby still growled whenever Rich got too near Bobcat. She would not let him pick up or even touch her friend. Very protective. So Rich rattled a bowl full of kibble. That's food. Bobby followed the food to Rich's van and Bobcat followed Bobby. Rich drove them to a temporary shelter that Best Friends Animal Society had set up in Celebration Station, a former video game arcade. But the shelter was completely filled with homeless dogs and cats, but a volunteer welcomed them in, even naming them Bobby and Bobcat for their bobbed tails. They were placed in separate rooms. All right, what do you think the effect of that is? They were placed in separate rooms. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think the result will be? For the next few minutes, the volunteers studied Bobby and Bobcat. They noticed how Bobcat stayed close to Bobby. They saw how he walked with his neck stuck out and how he carefully lifted his front paws, placing them down as if he was unsure what he might step on. Someone waved a hand in front of Bobcat's face. Bobcat did not jump back. Another volunteer waved her hand, but Bobcat did not even blink. So they were doing this, but Bobcat didn't even blink. What do you think that means? Everyone was stunned. Bobcat was blind. All that time on their own, Bobby had been Bobcat's seeing eye dog. Does that make sense now about the chain? She was blind, but what could she do? She could hear the chain rattle, so she knew where to walk. Remember, this is a true story. The volunteers and even an ace pet detective searched for their family with no success. 1 month later, Celebration Station closed its doors, but Bobby and Bobcat still did not have a home. There was one thing left to try. The two Bobbies made a television appearance on CNN's Anderson Cooper 360. So they were on TV. So the cause would be they were on TV. What do you think the effect is going to be? Think the result might be someone adopts them? The very next day, the Best Friends volunteers left New Orleans. One of them drove Bobby and Bobcat to the Best Friends Animal Sanctuary in Utah, where they would stay until a new family could be found. They were on their way west when the news came in. Hundreds of people wanted to adopt them. That's about the best effect we could ask for, right? Not just one, but hundreds. It would take a very special family to adopt them together. The volunteers made a list and invited everyone on it to come and meet the two Bobbies. Only Melinda and her Boston Terrier, Gus Gus, made the long trip to Utah. That night, Bob and Bobby had a sleepover with Melinda and Gus Gus in one of the cottages on the sanctuary grounds. Would the two Bobbies choose Melinda? So there's her dog, Gus Gus. And what vocabulary word would you think that they're doing? Lounging. Resting and laying down. The next morning, everyone knew the answer. Bob and Bobcat were stuck to Melinda like Velcro. They also liked Gus Gus, and he liked them. Finally, Bobby and Bobcat found their new family. Now they live with Melinda, Gus Gus, and Amelia on a ranch in southern Oregon. Bobcat has a window seat to sit on. He likes to play with a robot vacuum cleaner. He turns it on all by himself. Bobby helps with the ranch chores, and she goes on horse rides. On hot days, she lounges, lays, in the fog and the fairy pond. At the end of every day, Bob and Bobcat snuggle up together. They have toys and treats and lots of new friends, even a camel. Best of all, they have each other. What did you think of the story? I love this story, especially since it's a true story. And it always surprises me that Bobby wore the chain and that Bobcat would listen to him. I think that's a really special thing that an animal would do, right? So we're going to work on this story tomorrow again with cause and effect. So a cause would be there was Hurricane Katrina. The effect would be that Bob and Bobby were stranded alone. A cause would be Bobby wore the chain around his neck. The effect, the result, Bobcat knew where to go, right? So it's all about cause and effect, and continues practicing those vocabulary words. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.